My name is Peter Cochrane. I'm here at this conference to do the keynote this morning. My background is one of being the Chief Technical Officer at British Telecom. I now have my own company and I operate out of the UK. So let me give you some observations about the cloud. Right now, there are about 700 million customers using the cloud, and almost none of them are in India. They're in the UK and the United States, where the biggest take-up has occurred. And we have to ask the question, why? The number one worry is always security. And what I'm going to do today is to try and open people's eyes to the fact that the cloud can be the most secure and the most creative environment that we've ever experienced so far. What does this mean for India and Indian companies? First of all, they have to adopt this technology because the young people are going into a new mode. Bring your own device. They don't care about corporate rules and regulations. They no longer use a corporate computer. They own 2 or 3. They work differently. They're used to operating in the social sense. They use social networks as a working medium. And they have a different attitude of mind, and it's a cloud mind. Now, to exploit that situation, we have to think a stage further, where the loyalty to companies becomes much thinner, and they don't stay in one job for very long, and they move from company to company. So immediately, there are tremendous savings for companies by not providing equipment for their people. They bring their own. Now, here is the security challenge. Right now, today, I can go into any company in the world, and I will see people at a corporate computer, and they'll have a memory stick, and they're taking the work off the corporate computer and putting it onto their own personal machine to do the work. And that is the biggest security risk that we have. So we have to engineer solutions in the cloud that are secure. And therein lies a big opportunity for Indian companies. People don't know what to do. This morning, I'm going to lay out a platform and a menu of things to make the cloud super secure. And in there is an opportunity providing new services out of India.
At this point of time, where do you see the cloud standing as far as India is concerned? What are the major factors that are hindering customers from adopting cloud?
The biggest factor that prevents a company adopting the cloud is the old mindsets of the managers in the IT department. And people do not like this when I say it. The IT departments have got to go. They have no future in a world that is fast moving, very innovative, and where young people are taking the initiative and working in groups in and out of the company in a mobile sense and not sat at a desk. IT departments are behind the wave, and I think we could say that security is not working and IT support is not working. And when you have young people coming into a company who know more than the IT department, then it's going badly wrong. So the challenge is to get the board of the company and the management of the company to understand this and to make the necessary changes. Now, there's a paradox here, and it's a very funny paradox. The IT departments will insist that they control the mobile phones and the computers. And board members and managers are going and saying, I don't care. I have an iPad and I have an iPhone, connect it to the corporate network. And the IT departments say that they're not secure. And the managers say, I don't care. That's the device I choose to use. So it's not such a big step for people to understand the change, but they just have to bite the bullet and change the company direction and mode of operation.
In your experience, have you suggested or a few steps to the top management to make it a corporate strategy, to make cloud a corporate strategy?
I like to ask people these questions when we're looking at corporate strategy. Do you suppose for one moment that your IT department and your security people are as good as Google or Cisco or IBM or HP? Do you really think that they can provide the level of service and the security that these giant corporations that specialize in the subject can provide? I don't think so. Very often the IT departments are blissfully unaware of what is happening, and the security departments just cannot keep up. And yet the sophistication of the security attacks now is way beyond the hacker in a bedroom. We're now talking about organized crime, but worse still, organized states. States are now using huge resources to go into cyber espionage. You don't even know they've been. They come and take your secrets and they walk away. Those are the things we should really worry about.
Okay. And can you give me certain tips, maybe a few steps about what do the IT managers or the customer IT heads need to do to have a good cloud strategy? Because my experience is even the top end customers, the top companies are not willing to go on a public cloud because they want to pull out all the critical applications from public. So where do you see this going, and what are your recommendations?
My worry is that people will just run into the cloud and just change nothing. They will do the same things in the cloud that they've always done, and that I think will be close to fatal. Because if the cloud is going to succeed, we have to think and act differently. If we continue to do what we've always done, the security risks are just going to get worse, and going into the cloud will amplify those risks in some sense. If we actually go to outsource or build a secure cloud, we have to think differently how we do it. And the cloud is not a single entity. It's not fixed. It comes in many different variants. You can have government clouds, corporate clouds, personal clouds, institutional clouds. They can be fixed, they can be mobile, they can be permanent, transient, they can be visible, they can be invisible, they can be public or not. So what do you want to do? And I think that there are spaces where you would like anybody to get into a part of the cloud, and you want to work with them, but when you want to do secure things, you may want to be invisible. All the technology to do all of that is in place. People just have to think.
But to begin with, do you have certain suggestions to them? Okay, what are the easy steps that they need to take? Because Inflexion 2000 revolves around cloud, this easy step.
I would suggest that corporations think about the cloud in this way. What is it that you have that really needs to be secure? And is it the email? Actually, it probably isn't. Is it the salesman on the street? Is it the support engineers? Is it your management? And I think that things like support engineering, sales, general communication could be pushed into the cloud at more or less zero risk. And one of the reasons is the information half-life is so very short. You've got to be very lucky to capture it at the time when it's important, and when you do capture it, the time is gone. The information that's really important to the company are those research and trial results, those strategic decisions, those investment details, and those merger and acquisition negotiations. They need to be bolted down and hidden away. So I think in terms of freeing up the majority of the people very early, because what they're doing isn't of necessity all that secure, and being very careful as we get to the core and the heart of the company. We mustn't give away the keys to the kingdom.
Thank you very much, Peter.
Pleasure. All right.